So these recent upgrades to the PC have given me a lot of motivation to try and get back into VR, specifically VR titles that I've always wanted to play, but never had the hardware for. And one of the ones that I've always wanted to try out was No Man's Sky. Now I know I had an RTX 3070 and Ryzen 7600 that should have been more than capable to run No Man's Sky in VR, and probably at pretty decent settings. But the fact that I live stream everything while I play it turns my 3070 into like a damn GTX 1070. So it just kind of ruined all the VR experiences I had. That's why a lot of times you come to my stream, I was playing games that were actually just standalone games instead of the ones on my PC, because those were so glitchy that it was just a headache to play and I just didn't have fun. I always would get really mad and it would crash my stream, and it just wasn't a very good time for me or the viewers slash, all my friends. So since I've upgraded the 5070 I have been playing a lot more VR. I can finally handle playing No Man's Sky, and I want to share my first impressions of the game. Now, first off, I'd like to say that this may not be the most detailed review of the game, because I did only play about 2 or 3 hours of the game. It really wasn't even enough to make it out of the tutorial, because I started getting a little bit motion sick, and because mostly I'm slow.
Did that work? Point your left hand. Point your left hand.
But I'm going to do the best I can do, and again, first impressions, so just keep that in mind. First off, this has got to be one of the most breathtaking games I've ever played in VR.
Boost this bitch up. Alright, hold X. Holy shit, that's insane, dude. I know it doesn't look that great, but wow, seeing that shit in VR is insane.
It literally took my breath away the first time I soared off into space. It felt like that scene from Avengers Infinity War where Captain America's eyes get as big as the sun, when they're taking off or going through those little hexagon shapes, because it's literally just shocking to see right in front of you. Again, with this upgrade to my PC, I have been turning up my resolution in VR, and it just looks so good. I've always been really intrigued by space too, and as a kid, I always kind of wanted to be an astronaut and always had these like, oh, by the time I'm old enough, we're going to have all this cool space stuff, and really we don't. But you know what I mean? It was always something really cool, and this game just tended to grab me by the chest and took me in. And again, I know real space exploration is nothing like this, but again, a little man can dream, all right? The feeling you get in your chest when you first take off is only something you'll understand if you've played the game in VR before. I get it. If you played it on a flat screen, you probably get some idea, and if you played other space games, you probably get a little bit of an idea, but it was just really cool for me, especially if you're a nerd, I guess. But now, it was slightly blurry if you're seeing in this footage, and I mean, I more have seen it in my actual headset. I'm not sure if it's because my game settings or my VR settings, but the game doesn't look like that traditionally. It wasn't the game itself being bad or not having good graphics, it's just totally a me issue. When you go all Star Wars'd out and you hit the hyperdrive and all the stars kind of warp around the cockpit, it looked like shit in the headset itself. And I don't even know if it really looks that bad in the actual raw footage itself, because I haven't looked at it just yet. Well, until I'm editing this. But if it looks bad, I promise, it's going to look a lot better. I'd also like to blame the fact that I did have my graphics on just standard, because I did want to stream and have a good experience and not have the game lock up anything, because again, VR is pretty intensive on hardware. Gameplay of this game seems to translate very well into VR. Now, I've never actually played the flat screen game before, but something I've always felt about titles that aren't traditionally made for VR, but get an update or have VR support made into it later, or even by day one, it's usually always horrible. Maybe things like you don't have arms, you just have hands, or maybe your arms don't even move. The movement just feels off entirely. Maybe all of the HUD looks horrible and just doesn't really work in VR because it's still made for a flat screen game. Something I see a lot in these games that just have a VR edition of the game is that you really can't interact with anything. Again, your HUD may not move, you may not be able to actually do anything, but this game is different. It's not just a VR view, like something like Subnautica is a really good example, or Payday 2, where your hands are a little funny. You don't get to do everything with your body. This game is a lot different because it's properly put together. When you're in the cockpit, you actually have to interact with everything with your body. You have to use your wrist and hands to control your throttle and steering. You actually have to pull open the cockpit to get out. Steering with a virtual joystick is always kind of wonky, but I'd much rather use a virtual joystick than use the VR controller joystick, just because it just ruins my immersion. I actually want to use my hands and my wrist to actually steer me in which direction I want to go. I want to use my hand and be able to adjust the throttle. Something I wish this game would have had is if I would have been able to like toggle something so I could let go and rest my arms. But again, immersion, baby, immersion. I do recommend getting a chair to sit down when you're actually in the cockpit and stuff. That would bring your immersion up even more, but I didn't have that experience because I didn't have a chair at the time. The way you interact with the menu in your wrist is okay. I mean, it could have been better, but again, for a non-traditional VR title, it's more than great. It's very usable. It's very easy. I tend to get confused a lot when using it, but it's more than likely just because I haven't been playing VR in months. And honestly, am I really that smart of a guy? Not much. One of my favorite things to do in this game is actually make different elements from different things. Like, let's say you want to take ferrite dust, I think it's called, and turn it into pure ferrite. Then you can take pure ferrite and turn it into whatever else it turns into using the portable refinery, I believe it's called. It's really fun to do that, honestly, because I don't know, it's just elements and stuff like that. It's just cool. Everything's pretty usable is basically what I'm trying to get at. I'm not making any sense right now. This is going to be more of like No Man's Sky specific things instead of being so much about VR. So quick interjection, when I first recorded this commentary, it made no sense whatsoever. I don't know why. I was yapping for no reason, so this is going to be me while I'm editing, having to like cut in and butt myself out. For some reason, I wanted to talk about the multi-tool. Really fun to use. What I was trying to get at the first time I was talking about this was how it's kind of nice to start off with something that you don't have to work on. You immediately can use it for pretty much everything. I mean, obviously you get upgrades for it, but instead of having to make a whole new weapon or something like most survival games or any game like this, it's kind of nice to just be able to hop in and have something that's usable straight off the rip. But I don't know even what I was yapping about, dude. This commentary is all over the place. I feel like, ooh, I need to lay off caffeine, bro. I was just blah, 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 blah. I'm sure later on in this game, I'll need to make more tools for bigger and better things, but to start off so strong and just being able to mine anything in your grasp just feels nice. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just have a calm, relaxing game like this where you can just kind of float around and do whatever you want and nothing's going to harm you, nothing's going to kill you, blah, 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 blah. Another feature of this multi-tool is being able to like terraform the entire land around you. I can't remember what they actually call this, but it's like it's to mine copper deposits and different type of deposits that are actually in the ground itself. Mining copper like a junkie and trying to hoard it and sell it off to everybody in the neighborhood was kind of making me self-conscious as hell, but
Go ahead and oil down my whole sandwich, Playboy. We'll get all the copper I can. We can sell this stuff and get our money back, dude.
I mean, it's cool. It's neat. It works really well, but I did feel kind of awkward, so we're just going to move on from that. Finding things is fun and enjoyable. Flying around in the spaceship is fun and enjoyable. But once you're done doing all of that, they actually let you make a base. I didn't even know this game had bases or anything. I thought this being a space exploration game, it kind of envisioned this whole being a drifter idea, where you're not really staying in any specific spot, just kind of mining resources and your ship being the base. You kind of just bounce around from world to world. But it's really cool that you kind of can make a home base, and maybe you can return back to this planet each time if you actually make one that you really like. I don't know. I'm sure that really you're just making these bases to, again, have somewhere to protect yourself from the elements. I think you can pack up rather easy because really all you got to grab is your portable refinery, and I think the other things like the big computer, and I think I made one more thing before I got off, but I can't really remember. And then you can just move on to the next world and then rinse and repeat. It was kind of wonky building the house in the beginning because the way the walls go up is just not the best for VR and not really the best in general. There's a lot of games that uses this kind of weird snapping instead of like letting you just stand there and really put it up. I recommend building your base from the outside in because I stood in the middle of my base trying to put the walls up and the ceiling up, and I got so close to missing and making a wall in the middle of the floor instead of actually putting it on the outside like way too many times.
This is a bitch to do, by the way. This is not... Motherfucker. It didn't put one there, right?
Once you get the house down, though, it's really nice, and all you got to worry about is like these weird birds flying in and scaring the shit out of you before you get your roof on.
What the fuck are you?
On a serious note, something that I don't know exists in the game, but I'd love to see in the game, rather it be through a DLC, or even if it just exists in the game and I haven't made it to it yet, so keep in mind this is just me spitballing. I'd like to see a little go-kart, like a little Mars rover, something to roam around on these worlds with. It would be so helpful to be able to ride around instead of having to actually walk everywhere and sprint. I'm sure it'd be really fun to use in the VR too because they kind of nailed it with the space shuttle. But again, it's not really needed. You do start off with a jetpack and you can haul ass by sprinting. So the traversal isn't slow, but I just think it would be really fun to be able to rip around on like something like a go-kart or a motorcycle, like the motorcycle from Death Stranding. Can we get that? It would be a blast, let's be honest. But it may already be in the game. I have no idea. I haven't made it that deep. If there is one in the game, tell me how to get it, please. The only thing I found to gripe about in this game completely is how the body doesn't really follow the head. And by that, I mean when you're playing in VR and you crouch in real life, all of a sudden you get the POV of your Johnson. It's just kind of wonking around. It's kind of goofy. If I turn around or step back too far, my head kind of just falls off my body. It twists off my body. Like I'll turn a whole 360 and my head turns that way, but my body doesn't. Or if I step back, instead of my body and head and everything following me in my boundary, it just stays stationary and then my head goes back. And the boundary's a little wonky in itself because you can't step out of your boundary boundary. Like, you have a small circle instead of it actually letting me use my room. I can only use like a standstill stationary boundary. And that's something I always hate in VR games because I like to walk around a little bit. I like to move my legs and kind of, I don't know, I'm moving my legs right now talking. So it's like, I don't like to be very stationary, and it's kind of just, ugh, I don't know. All in all, I would like to say that this game is fantastic in every way, whether it be in VR or flat screen or anything in between that. I've only experienced the game in VR so far, and I haven't experienced much of it, but I do want to play more of it. If you guys want to see that, then please stop by my live streams and let me know. If you like this video and you want more videos on it, please let me know that you guys want more videos, because I'm kind of trying to find my wavelength with you guys. I feel like you guys like some content and don't like the others, so I'm trying to like listen in to y'all's input. I don't want to do something you guys don't want to watch because, again, it's my job to entertain you guys. Also, something I haven't mentioned in a long time, and I need to just because, is I have a code with One Shot Energy Chews. You can use code AMB Judo Potato for 10% off your next order at oneshotenergy.com. I don't really like plugging ads much, but I literally do have a code with these folks, and I love them. I mean, I'm not going to not plug it. I know it's like not the best thing in the world to constantly talk about it in my videos, so I try not to mention it. I just leave it in the description of all my videos. But there is a link down there, or you can just copy and paste again AMB Judo Potato and then just put it in the discount. I recommend these things. I ate 2 before this video, and that's why I'm kind of bouncing off the walls and talking so fast. And I'm going to eat like 18 more when I go to edit this video. I don't feel like it, bro. If you guys want me to check out any other VR titles, please let me know down below in the comments, because I've really been looking forward to playing VR again since this PC is like actually able to handle the shit. I kind of want to play Ghost of Tabor again. So if that's something you guys want to see, I'm probably going to be cussing the entire time, but I'll do it. I'll do it. You know, I'm known as the hater for that. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll leave you. Bye-bye, my friend.